All right, folks. No fancy music today. No fancy special title set up today, other than the one that you have already seen, because we are here with our Infernal Salon, a special Halloween edition of the Infernal Salon. It is going to be a sort of a compressed one. We've done one that are usually 3 hours. This one has to be done by 5:30 because I got to go trick or treating with my own kids and hand out candy and all that kind of good stuff. So we are going to be doing that. But welcome everybody to this Infernal Salon with a whole host of amazing authors, hosted as always by C.S.E. Cooney and Carlos Hernandez, who I will bring up in just a moment. But just a quick reminder, please support all the authors that you are about to see. Please also support the channel if you can, where we're doing events of this kind. And please remember, on a scheduling note, we're going to go till 5:30, as I say, then we're going to wrap up. And then I will be back later on tonight, late tonight, with our annual Edgar Allan Poe readings for Halloween. I don't yet know exactly what time that's going to be because it depends on when trick-or-treating ends. My guess would be somewhere between 10 and 11 p.m. tonight, but I don't know for sure. But please do join us for that. We always read The Raven and always read one other Edgar Allan Poe story, which I think may be Ligeia, and I need to make sure that I'm actually pronouncing that right. But I think that's what I might be doing, or possibly the Oblong Box, maybe two. We'll see. But I'm very excited for it, and that's going to be happening this evening. But right now, what we've got going on is Negocios Infernalis Infernal Salon. And so, with no further ado, I'm going to unmute myself in Zoom. And again, I apologize to anyone I accidentally interrupted because I couldn't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last, if I've done this all properly, I'm going to reveal... My goodness, it works. It's a miracle. It's a Halloween miracle. Everyone is available and visible. And we are all here and ready to go. So let me make sure I get out of studio mode there. Good. All right. So we're all ready to go. Yes. Welcome to our Halloween special of the Infernal Salon. I'm going to hand things over to, I guess, Claire. I'm going to hand things over to Claire, although Claire could also hand things over to Carlos. People can hand things to themselves is what I'm saying. And then we will let these amazing people go. But this is all about them. But just two notes that I want to make. One, the Negocios Infernalis Kickstarter is going on right now. It is going to be concluding on November 10th, November 10th. And it is doing exceedingly well. And you folks need to, if you haven't already done so, go and support it. It is an awesome game from which we are drawing these cards. Secondly, I do have to congratulate Claire once anyway on being a new World Fantasy Award winner for Saint Death's Daughter. Very well deserved. Claire is awesome. I know that's it. We don't want to talk about Claire. Claire's like, no, it's not about me. But just this 1 second, I have to publicly say. So congratulations, Claire. Much well deserved. Now, let's get on to the Infernal Salon. I will hand things over to Claire for what comes next.
Annoyed that perhaps I'm talking into the air. You can hear me, right? Yes?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm so pleased to introduce our cast of stars. We have one more person on her way. It's going to be amazing. We are going to draw some spooky, infernal, macabre cards for them. We're going to turn on a timer and we're going to let them create to their heart's content. We're not going to put any limits on what they can create. It can be words, it can be bullet points, it could be character sketches or stories or poems or songs. It could be art out of the art. We love the ekphrastic experience. Carlos, do you have anything that hi, Rhiannon's here. Do you have anything you want to add?
I do, because we do indeed have one constraint, the ultimate constraint, time.
Yes.
These poor benighted creators will have a measly 25 minutes in which to generate their art. But the good news is that it's very low stakes here. We're just going to have a lot of fun. And these are wonderful people, full of creative energy. We've seen all of them in action before and just know that they're going to wow us almost effortlessly. And the good news is that they're going to be supplemented by our deck of destiny, La Baraja del Destino. So just in case anybody out there doesn't know the game or the Kickstarter that we're running, we have a diceless, GM-less RPG out there called Negocios Infernalis. And the whole point of the game is to lower the threshold to make it easier to do role-playing by removing a lot of the rules and a lot of the baggage that comes with role-playing. Just let you draw some spooky cards. You read a spooky card, you see if it matches another one. If it does, great. tell us how that works. And if it doesn't, tough shit. How does that work? You basically have to narrate from that moment on what happens. So in this scenario, it's even lighter stakes because all you're going to do is take a look at the cards, and any little scintilla of information on any of the cards you draw or a complete gestalt formed from a combination of them can serve as inspiration. And we just want to see what our ghoulish macabre cards inspire in you today. And when I say you, I'm pointing at every individual person in the chat, as well as all of our participants here, because you in the chat are more than invited to create along with us. And we'll be doing a draw specifically for chat once we get all of our invited guests situated. Claire, what I missed?
They're all here. They're all here. So I know that we are on a time limit because some people have to go to sleep in Europe and some people have to go trick-or-treating, and that's all great. So we've decided to save some time that we're going to divide everybody in groups of 3, and this is very exciting. Every group of 3 artists is going to get 3 cards. They can use 1 card, they can use 2 cards, they can use all 3 cards if they want to, and they could use any small bit like Carlos said, or like look at all 3 cards together and see what story or whatever it's telling. So the first group, because we have a visual artist who might be doing some manner of body art, a musician, and a writer who needs to leave first to go do Halloween things. That will be our first group. So we have Kenesha Williams, Dr. Mary Crowell, and Rhiannon Parker Cooney is our first draw of 3. And Carlos, can you draw for them?
I can. Just want to make sure everybody can see it. So, I'm going to draw now, and folks will let me know if you can see the cards. I'm laying them out against the backdrop of just a card as I'm using as a template, and behind that is the map of Espada, the place where the game takes place. So your first card is appearing now, and this one says, as those of you can read here, says that morality rots faster than shrouds.
Ooh, so Carlos, when I'm on the Roll20 link you sent, I have the first. I don't have that. I see an Alagrimas card.
Give me a second. I have to do.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, one quick note. Just chat so you know, I'm giving these folks fancy fonts for their names. It's not quite done, but I want to make sure that I give the full measure of the card that we're about to see. So when it comes up and it looks a little odd, don't worry about it. we'll fix that problem shortly. Okay, you may proceed.
Okay.
And really quick, this is a funny Roll20 question, but I now can see all 3 cards, Carlos, but kind of everybody's faces are in my way. How do I minimize
Yeah,
that?
I can't see the.
So if you go to the gear on the top right corner,
I see.
The gear in the top right corner lets you alter things like display names and other things like that. So if you open that and you go to audio and video,
Okay,
there's a tab that says video display.
Gotcha.
You can choose names only under player video / avatar size.
That's awesome. That will help a lot. And so for our beautiful players here, I'm going to go ahead and let's see, make this as big as possible. And I'm going to screen cap. So right now I see 3 cards up, Carlos, or you're drawing the third?
2, sorry. I'm drawing the third one now.
Excellent.
Being put into position.
And chat, right now you can't see any of the creatives yet. Right now you're just looking at the cards because I'm maximizing them, and I'll minimize that shortly. And then we'll go back to faces.
And then for our players, our lovely creators, I'm going to take a screen cap of this for the first 3, and I will email it to you. You can probably do the same, but this is just a redundancy.
So the 3 cards that we have from the air or Ida suit, morality rots faster than shrouds. From the Sangre suit, blood, no clarity without enemies. And then from Espacio, that which lies beyond human ken. And yet, however stumblingly, progress or progress. as you choose to accent. That is completely up to you because English is an accentual syllabic language. So, three folks whose cards these are. Can you see them all? Can you look at them? Can you enjoy them?
Anisha, Rhiannon, and Mary, I'm emailing it to you now, and just in case.
I can see it. Yep.
Beautiful. Okay, folks.
All right, so I'm going to drop this down.
And running.
All right, and I am sending the file so you can go on to the next group. Who shall the next three be, Carlos? Why don't you choose the next three?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I already started grabbing a card. So the next three shall be LaShawn, Kyle, and Elijah.
Kyle and Elijah.
All right, friends. Here are your cards. Your first one is a Sangre card appearing in the top left. And this one says, even dragons are murdered for their gold.
Ooh, it's a good one. I like that Kyle gets a dragon card. You know, we went to college together, and one of our teachers who we love said about him, she's like, you know, Kyle is like a sleeping bear. He could take your head off with one careless swat of the paw. I love that. I always think about that. Kyle and I called each other our whetstones. We just sharpened each other, ourselves on each other. And so, you know, I don't know. The dragon is appropriate. It's appropriate.
I agree.
Do you also agree that it is appropriate that Kyle has received Guts Make the Finest Music with a person pulling their intestines out and playing it like a musical instrument?
You know, I like that for Elijah, actually, who is a horror writer.
Oh, yes, Elijah. This does seem rather in your vein. All right, so this one has to be for LaShawn. LaShawn, this is your past, present, and future. Are you ready to see it?
Ooh, this is a good one. Of course, LaShawn, it doesn't have to be just yours alone. You can take whatever you want, but I like this for you as like a kind of a highlight, a spotlight.
Okay.
Live long enough for better stars.
That's a Ryo suit, which is which lightning, which I like that for you. You remind me of lightning. You're so vivacious.
Live long enough for better stars. Ooh. Okay. All right.
So I'm going to send the screen cap just in case, and then we will move on to the next. La la la. I'm doing this, and I'm thinking at the same time. So the next group shall be blah blah blah. That's not the screen cap I want. That one. And then I know. I'm so slow. Okay, we've got how about Eden? Yes, Eden. And let's see, Emma. Yes. Oh, and J9 Vaughn. Yes, Eden and Emma and J9.
All right. Welcome, friends. First card. As true a statement as you will find, flowers fear the storm but crave the rain. Your second card, friends. Oh, a solid piece of advice. I hope all of you out there decide to drink a little poison every day.
Oh dear.
Warning.
Strong Emma vibes.
Don't drink poison every day. Okay. Third card here appearing at the bottom. Ooh, double Ryo going on here. And
a double Ryo. We got a lot of lightning in this group.
Yeah. Fitting. Only a fool attends a masquerade unmasked.
Oh yeah, this is Nin. Yeah, Janine. Da. This is cool. Okay, I'm gonna take a screen cap. Yoink.
That is a great one.
If you're very jealous, Kyle, you could steal it. Just don't tell.
No one will know.
No one will know.
I'll hide it deep inside.
All right, I'm sending this to our creators. Carlos, you want to choose the next three?
More than life itself. I believe that this next group is going to be but actually I have to remember who's chosen. Darn it. Let's see. Lynn has not been chosen.
Lynn.
Steve has not been chosen yet. And Karina has not been chosen yet, correct?
I believe that is correct. Karina.
All right, friends. I have chosen, and your destiny awaits. It comes in the form of 3 cards, the first of which is a Lagrimas card, the Tears of Life. This particular card was based on a short story by Stephen Crane.
It's a poem.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Comes across the demon in the desert who's eating his own heart. He says, "Do you like it, friend?" And he says, "I like it because it is bitter and because it is my heart."
The trained tongue enjoys a little bitterness. Your second card, friends, an Aire card, the breath of life. Oh, and this one is mysterious, eerie perhaps to some, hopeful for others. Quiet, be still. Do you feel it? The thrum. And then finally, your third card to round out this experience, yet another Rayo card. Lightning is hot, folks. And, you know, there might be a certain personage that you recognize in this particular card.
Our artist Beck was just doing what moved her deeply.
Thrones make children of us all.
I'm going to take a screen cap, send it to our authors who probably have already done that for themselves. This is Lynn, Karina, and Steve. And Carlos, I think, is that 4 of 4? Does everybody have their cards?
I think everyone is good.
Okie dokie. That's the act. We have 12 total. Oh my goodness. This is so exciting.
So Greg, it's just up to you, please, when you are ready to start the timer.
Yes. Now that I have the fancy font title names done, I think just about. Let me see. There we go. Now it's all fixed. Yes. Let me set up the timer just a moment. That's under scripts. Okay, 25 minutes. All right.
Right. Oh, you know, we have one more thing to do. Forgive me. We still have to draw for chat, of course.
We
yes.
must draw for the chat. Yes.
All right. So chat. These cards are just for you. And of course, we get the one that is most likely to get us in trouble with Twitch. Not really. I'm just being.
What are there nipples?
Well, there is a circle. We don't say nipple. We say circle.
We say
there cannot be a soul. There must be a soul.
I'll have to capture this and send this to, I don't know, Twitter. And oh no, I can't do Facebook. I might get banned. Okay, well, Twitter. Nothing gets banned on Twitter these days. Oh, X, sorry, excuse me.
Except liberals. All right, so
true it
giving
is.
card number 2 here, chat. This is one of Claire's favorites right here.
Trees, meat. It is really great. It's such a great card. I do really like it a lot.
All right, and another Espacio card. And very appropriately, it's sort of like a meta language card. One that's really good for storytelling, I think. It says, language walks you on its leash.
Oh, it's great. Beautiful.
That's good stuff.
Chat, these are your cards. So now
we are going to put up the timer for 25 minutes. Thankfully, a lot of the writers got a little extra time because we drew for chat. This is excellent.
And timer is, nope. Not the and go part. Never mind that. No one saw anything.
Writers, you might want to mute us and set your own timers right now for 25 minutes so that you are not distracted by our glory and our boasting about your amazing magnificence, because we're going to be doing that. Maybe you can't even hear me telling you this right now, which is very fine. Gives me a warm feeling.
Why is that not? Bear with me. I don't know why it's doing that.
Carlos, while Greg is setting that up, do you want to scoot on over to my blog, csecooney.com, and we'll start telling the chat about our glorious cast?
There it is. Now it's fixed. Okay.
I'm putting csecooney.com in the chat, so chat can follow along with this if they wish, but I do indeed have your blog up and ready so that we can give the biographies of our august team of creators. Do you want to start or do you want me to start, Claire?
I am starting by dumping in the chat Kanisha Williams, KanishaIsDope.com website for you. Kanisha is amazing. And now I will tell you why in her own words. Kanisha Williams is an author. Kanisha Williams is an author, screenwriter, and essayist. As an essayist, she has written for Time Magazine's Motto and Fireside Fiction. She's been a panelist and speaker at StokerCon. Carlos and I went to our first StokerCon this year in June, and we brought Elijah with us, and it was amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah. It was so friendly for all these like terrible like horror writers who give very cheerful panels about cannibalism. They are just the nicest people. So she has been a panelist and speaker at StokerCon, the Horror Writers of America convention, Boscone. Oh, Boscone's great. That's always in February around like Valentine's Day weekend. And if you're in the Boston area, highly recommend. ECB, ACC, the East Coast Black Age of Comics Convention, the 2017 African Americans Expo, and MechaCon. You can catch up with her on her website, www.kanishawilliams.com. And that is what I have dropped into the chat for you.
Excellent. Up next, we have LaShawn Wanak, LaShawn M. Wanak, I should say. Now, LaShawn has done herself a little bit of a disservice. She's given herself a very short biography. It says LaShawn writes fiction, essays, and poetry and is the editor of the speculative magazine Giganotosaurus. All of that is true, but LaShawn has failed to mention that she recently has created one of the entries in the newest Meow Wolf. I believe, is this one in Las Vegas or is this one Santa Fe? I forget which one it is.
You see, I just found a thing, Grapevine about, remember a Grapevine story, blah blah blah. It's called the Grapevine Project. So whichever one that one's, is it Dallas? Is it a Texas one, Carlos?
Oh, it's Texas. Okay, yes. So it must be like Houston or something like that. But literally designed a room for Meow Wolf. This is this incredible artist that you have before you today. She also wrote one of the funniest, sexiest second world portal stories that involves seducing an orc with toothpaste that I have ever heard in my life. So if you get the chance, seek out LaShawn's risque orc fiction.
Also, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Claire.
I just dropped a link to the strangehorizons.com as their author archives for LaShawn. There's so much of her work that you can read online too. Just Google her name. She's amazing.
Also is LaShawn and I are both programming consultants for the Gen Con Writers Symposium this year. So there's that too.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. I didn't even know that. It's good. Mm-hmm. All three of us are on it because it takes three of us to do LaShawn justice, and even then all sorts. I get to introduce Rhiannon Parker Cooney. She's my sister-in-law. She's married to my brother Jeremy. I often collaborate with Jeremy on our musical projects. Like he helped me with 2 of my Brimstone Rhine albums, which you can stream if you want on Bandcamp. But Rhiannon's awesome. As we were doing our card polls all this month, every single day for Negocios and Finales for our campaign, in the early part of the month, Rhiannon was making nail wraps for every single card pull, nail wraps inspired by the card art. And then one day, as you'd probably be able to see if you went to my blog where everybody's being introduced, she did a full face makeup and costume inspired by the Espacio suit on the card. She just blows my mind. So this is her biography. Rhiannon Parker Cooney is a licensed esthetician, self-taught makeup artist, dungeon master. Oh my gosh, Carlos and I did a 3-shot with her that she ran in the Feywild. It was like mind-blowing. She made us these binders that were like as big as my head and hand-drawn and gorgeous, like an incredible DM. Dungeon master, nail art addict, for which we're grateful, and co-owner of Sun and Moon Wellness in Phoenix, Arizona. If you're in Phoenix or you're going for like a vacay or something, you can book her services at vagaro.com/Sun and Moon Wellness. There's a link to it. Actually, I'm just going to copy that and drop it in the chat. She does everything from facials, lashes, and, full body waxing.
Also, I just went ahead and posted the picture that you had on your blog of her as she
Oh,
was
cool.
dressed as the Espacio suit. Like she did a full costume for the Espacio suit and looks glorious. So give that a click and just see the power that is our sister-in-law. So up next is me again. After Rhiannon,
Hold on
we
for
have
just a second. I'm sorry. Greg, just so you know. Oh, you are fixing it. Never mind.
Yeah, someone moved the camera, like switched out their camera and came back in, and that meant all the windows were changed. So I had
This
to.
just keeps you busy. It keeps you out of
Yeah,
trouble.
that's what it is. Keeps me out of trouble.
Sorry, Carlos. Please go ahead.
For zoo animals, right? This is the sort of thing that keeps the mind lively. Kyle Crackney. Sorry, Kyle Crackney is a writer and director living in the Midwest. He has written and directed over 200 plays and several short films. He's also a seasoned solo performance artist, having performed all across the USA. He also makes ice cream and goes backpacking. He is currently producing 2 short films and The Reconcile, a new podcast about apologies and what I'm sorry really means. Welcome, Kyle Crackey.
Oh my gosh. And let me just talk about Kyle again for a second. So for a long time, Kyle ran something called Immediacy Theater Project, which was in St. Louis. And they would do every New Year's, they would do something called they would do like a 24-hour festival where they'd invite writers, directors, and actors. They'd get the writer together with 3 actors and a director. They'd give the writer a prompt and a genre to write in for a 10-minute play. The writers would go home, write all night, come back with a 10-minute play in the morning. The actors would rehearse them all day. And by the evening, that evening on New Year's Eve, there would be a full-blown production of 6 new plays, maybe even more sometimes. I don't know. They did this for years. I got to be a writer sometimes. I think maybe once I was an actor. I loved it so much. But Kyle's always doing badass things like that. I'm just so pleased that he's joining us for this. And now I get to talk about Dr. Mary Crowell. I like to just call her by her full name, even when we're just talking like over Zoom, just like, hi, Dr. Mary Crowell, how are you today? But Mary is so cool. I collaborate with her, but I'll tell you more about that later. Dr. Mary Crowell, she, her, is a geeky musician slash songwriter slash teacher from North Alabama. Her doctorate is in music composition, and she teaches music theory, composition, music appreciation, and piano, and sometimes yoga. Mary writes songs about gaming, coffee, beagles, mythology, and zombies. Check out her Patreon, Dr. Mary C. Crowell, and her website, http://marycrowell.com, or follow on Twitter, Dr. Mary C. Crowell. And really specifically, Mary's latest gaming album, which she wrote over the pandemic, which is so great. I Have Missed You at My Table. And if you're a big gaming nerd and a D&D nerd, you're going to love her music so much. And she just like, if she reads a book she likes, she writes a song about it. She is huge in the Phil King circles. And so I get to collaborate with her right now. We're writing a 6-episode musical theater podcast with Tina Connolly called The Devil and Lady Midnight. We'll probably be rewriting it for the next few years, but that's fine because we're having so much fun. She is a glory to collaborate with, and as I hope you'll see a little bit later on.
Amazing. Okay, folks, next up we have Lynn Emery. Lynn Emery is the author of 30 plus novels. Her 3rd novel, After All, became a movie produced by BET, Black Entertainment Television. She has authored 12 romantic suspense novels, 2 paranormal mystery series, a sci-fi mystery trilogy, and a cozy mystery trilogy. In her other career, so mind you, 30 plus books, and she has another career. In her other career, she's a licensed clinical social worker. She has worked in a secure psychiatric hospital, in a correctional facility, as a child welfare investigator, and has been designated twice as an expert court witness. Oh, I would say something like, oh, the stories she could tell, but of course she tells them because she's written 30 plus books. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Welcome, Lynn.
It just boggles me. I mean, people are so great. And they come and they write with us. Oh, and I get to introduce J9. J9, I call them Nin sometimes because I've known them for a very long time, and Nin has a very long history of why I call Nin Nin. But J9 is A, badass librarian, witch, writer, and memoirist who fosters kittens like a boss. I just have to say, the latest batch of kittens, they've had them for like a couple months now, and they are all named after the lost libraries of the world. So there's like a kitten named Alexandria, for example, and the rest are so obscure I don't even know them, but they are so cute. They are so cute, and they're so well socialized by the time J9 is done fostering them, and they find great homes. But in the meantime, we all get the cutest kitten pics all the time. So fosters kittens like a boss and has just celebrated the 10th anniversary of the No Shush Salon, their library-based gathering space for writers, the Glen Ellen Public Library. J9 has been running this amazing salon where they invite a bunch of writers and poets. They are usually a guest. Carlos and I have been guests a couple times, and it was in physical reality, and then it moved to virtual reality over the pandemic, and now it's, I think, back in person. But it's just this gentle, loving, welcome, and totally open space for writers, new writers and veteran writers too. I admire it so much. I also have known J9 since college. Kyle Crack, he and J9 and I went to school together at Columbia College Chicago, and had a great time, actually.
Amazing. And this J9 just has such a storied life, so many different interests, a trained director, and just a delightful person. So happy they are here today. Next up, we have Emma J. Gibbon. Emma J. Gibbon, described by NPR as Shirley Jackson meets Johnny Rotten. Contemplate that for a moment, chat. Shirley Jackson meets Johnny Rotten. That is amazing and a little frightening.
It's so great.
Emma J. Gibbon is an award-winning horror writer, poet, and podcast writer. Her debut fiction collection, Dark Blood Comes from the Feet. Again, chat, contemplate that for a moment. Dark blood comes from the feet.
You know, it could be one of our Negocios Infernalis cards. It's just that good.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That book, Dark Blood Comes from the Feet, was one of NPR's best books of 2020 and won the Maine Literary Book Award for speculative fiction. You can find her at emmajgibbon.com.
Oh, and I get to introduce Steve Toes next. I discovered Steve Toes when I was being a judge for the World Fantasy Award last year. Not that I discovered him; he was obviously writing for 1 million years and well published all across the world, everywhere. But Undertow Press, Undertow is such an incredible press. I think it's based in Canada, and every single book I've read published by Undertow has been freaking exquisite. And so Steve Toes is a British-born horror writer living in the Franconian forest in Germany. His collection, To Drown in Dark Water, another amazing title that we should have stolen for the Negocios Infernalis cards, but we didn't because we're not plagiarists. His collection, To Drown in Dark Water, is published by Undertow. He is also a regular contributor to Fortean Times and loves classic motorbikes and vintage cocktails. He's so great. You should read his, you should get his collection, and you should get Emma's collection, and you should read them and just be full of exquisite darkness is all I have to say about that.
Love it, love it, love it. Eden Royce is a writer from Charleston, South Carolina, now living in England. She's a Shirley Jackson Award finalist for her adult short fiction, and her debut middle grade novel, Root Magic, is a Walter Award honoree, a Nebula Award finalist, a mythopoetic fantasy award winner, and an Ignite Award winner for outstanding children's literature. She loves tea, coffee, bookstores, and roller skating.
Wow,
always in that order. Yeah, I asked her about roller skating in a different event that we had. Yeah, she's a roller skater, so it's pretty awesome. But Root Magic is, sort of like a cause celeb right now in middle grade fiction. So if that's part of your jam, definitely check it out.
Yeah, Karina's next. Let's go, Karina. I love Karina. Is a writer and poet working primarily in the fields of dark fiction and fabulism. Her debut collection, hey, I just blurbed her debut collection. If I had been thinking ahead, I would have found my blurb so I could read it to you. But just get this, right? Get the title. Dead Girl Driving and Other Devastations. You're a horror reader, you know you want it. Her debut collection, Dead Girl Driving and Other Devastations, is forthcoming from Trepidatio Publishing in spring of 2024. So it's coming to you in the dark, cool mud of the spring. Links to her work can be found at http://carinabissette.com.
I think the last bio falls to me.
Oh, yeah. Good going.
Elijah Woodruff is a high school English teacher who doesn't do it for the money, but wouldn't mind being paid a little more. Oh, Elijah, I almost just want to stop right there and just like email you a bag of cash because, dude, you are doing the work of society.
Yeah.
Why don't we honor teachers more in this country?
Well, we try. Well,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just agreeing with you and making moaning noises.
Yeah. He spends his time drinking too much coffee and hanging out with his wife. And he's also been making some pro sales lately. So, Elijah came to us to StokerCon, is now sending his novel, which was requested there, around to the people who've requested it, and is, somebody that we are very happy to know and to have on this event for us. So welcome, Elijah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's so lovely. And Triffid E. Matz has to go, but bye, Triffid. Have a beautiful afternoon and evening. Oh my gosh, we have 8 minutes and a half left. Hernandez Pants. Whatever shall we talk about?
Well, perhaps we should talk about a certain crowdfunding campaign that we have running even as we speak.
Oh mon Dieu. Well, perhaps I will give it over to you for a second and I will jump in.
So kindly, Greg has alerted you to the fact that if you go to negociosinfernales.com, which you can link to in the chat, you can see where our crowdfunding campaign is right now. And you will see that we are very close to $17,000, which is amazing.
So cool.
We're just flabbergasted and joyous that we're reaching so many people at the game, and of course we hope to reach a few more. So for those of you who might not know what Negocios Infernales is, it is the Spanish Inquisition interrupted by aliens,
which is why Carlos is wearing dealy boppers and I'm wearing a crown.
That's right. We are cosplaying our own game right now, and so the whole idea is imagining a second world in which aliens have been watching a planet very much like Earth, getting ready for an inquisition in all the worst ways possible. But these aliens don't give a damn about the Prime Directive and are more than happy to go ahead and interfere to their heart's content to try to save humans from themselves, try to stop a pogrom before it starts. So they go down. Unfortunately, they have dealy boppers.
Yay!
Well, I mean, the dealy boppers are fun, but when the 15th, 16th century Spain surrogates look at them, they don't really have a way to process a thinking creature with dealy boppers. So they say, "Are you devils?" And aliens are just kind of like, close enough. And
yeah, man. Okay. Whatever you say.
Yeah, just don't kill each other. Call us whatever you want. Basically, the idea is that the aliens are trying to work within the worldview of these, benighted and misapprehending humans to try to get them to move to a place where they can be their better selves. So you play one of the wizards who thinks they have bargained for infernal powers that you determine by drawing these spooky cards. Really, though, the aliens are just trying to help you not do bad things, or that's what the idea is. You might end up doing a lot of bad things actually, and the aliens will be disappointed with you and they will let you know it. So one of the things that I love about this game is that we have an epilogue unlike pretty much any other that you will find in any role-playing game. After you've done the role-playing part, you zoom away from human affairs and go to the spaceship where the aliens have been watching you the whole time, and each of you who has had a wizard gets to play the alien caseworker who gave you your magic powers. And you basically get to say whether your character behaved in a way that merits them coming to join the cosmic consciousness and get all of the fancy technology and immortality that the aliens can offer, or more likely, that they need a little more time thinking about their bad deeds and what they should do to improve themselves.
Well, if they survive, right?
If they survive. So basically, Negocios Infernales is a role-playing game that's meant to be accessible to new players and a joy for experienced players, both at the same time. It's structured carefully to make it so that you always know what you're doing. So every time you move to a different stage of the game, there's a new deck of cards that you use to supplement and help you get inspired and know what you're supposed to do, as well as a whole quick start guide that will be guiding through the entire process all the way along. So we've really tried to make it that the first time you sit down to play Negocios Infernales, it will be as fun as the fifth time you sit down to play it, because every time you won't have this huge learning curve to figure out how to actually play the game. You'll just play the game, have a good time. You might be a little better at it next time, but only because the flow will be easier. And then really after that, you're just going to play the game and enjoy it like every single time.
My favorite section is the world building section. So there's 7 sections, so it's pretty modular. Like you can take an hour and do the character creation with your friends, and then go eat snacks and stuff, and then come back and do the relationship section. But the world building section comes with its own discrete deck of cards. There's like 40 of them, and all the cards are questions. So there might be a question like, what's the latest art fad in Espada, which is like the Spanish equivalent, the Spain equivalent. So you draw this question, what's the latest art fad in Espada? And then you draw one of the Baraja del Destino, the tarot-like cards we've been showing you, one of the Destino cards, and say it's like even dragons are murdered for their gold, like the one that we saw earlier today. And then you would answer that question inspired by something on that Destino card. So it could be, Carlos, if you were asked the question, what is the latest art fad in Espada, and you got dragons are murdered for their gold, what's like the first thing that comes to mind?
Can you say the question again? Which one are you saying?
Oh, it like, what's the latest art fad in Espada?
Oh, okay. So I think I'm actually going to take inspiration from Rebecca Hudson as well. So Rebecca, I'm sorry, I said Hudson, but it's Houston.
Yeah.
Rebecca Houston is the artist who drew the art on the cards and did such a spectacular job. And I was inspired by her Inktober many years ago to ask her to join us in making these cards. This year's Inktober, she keeps drawing these creatures with one glowing star-like eye. And our dragon is dead with a javelin shoved through its eye. So I think there is an art trend going on right now where people are mutilating one eye in many different ways. They might physically be doing it, or they might be doing it in faux ways, like putting, like a prosthetic of some kind over one eye and making it look like it's mutilated. They're drawing art with one eye missing. So basically, it's basically the age of the Cyclops, and they are inspired to basically hide or mutilate or faux mutilate one of their eyes.
I love that. It makes me think like, I'm sorry, I know this is a spinning story for a second. It makes me think that it started by suddenly a bunch of people in Espada had one glowing eye, and they got so scared, or their neighbors got so scared of them, they started putting them out. And then as that become more shocking and frightening, but also like, maybe that feeling of maybe we shouldn't have done that, or whatever, that the art trend started echoing it, or maybe the art trend was to make people more aware that this horrible thing was happening. It's a great,
I love that.
like, what a great, I just got chills, like a great short story idea. I want to steal it. Maybe we'll collaborate. I don't know.
But I love the place that you took it. And this is one of the things that always happens in the game. People hear somebody say someone cool. It's like, oh, I have an idea. And let them pile on. Let them all add to it, It's so great. And it's one of the real joys of the game. So world building is just one of the sections. You'll create your characters. You'll form relationships with the other wizards. You're going to prophesy what is a big problem that you need to solve in Espada, again, by using the cards. You're going to decide on an adventure, and then you're going to role play it. And then at the end of it all, you're going to play the judgy aliens who will judge you on your performance.
Judgy aliens. 15 seconds left, by the way.
Ooh, and I can see that some of the writers I think that some of their alarms went off a little early, so they don't know they have 10 seconds left. Or is it 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So
All right.
welcome,
The
welcome
time
back.
is up.
So Kanisha did ask to go first. She has the look of somebody who may be finishing a sentence, but
She
perhaps
does indeed. But
I
let's first of all make sure we have everyone's attention and have everyone on the call here unmute, please. Say hello. Let us know
Hello.
that you're ready.
Bonjour.
Hello.
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 Oh, hello. You sound great, Mary. I know you were testing your mic and stuff. It sounds perfect.
Okay.
Hello.
hello. Oh, it's Rihanna.
Well, I guess I was gonna say I could give my. I'm dressed as a cat
Oh, oh.
burglar today, so.
It looks amazing.
Great. Love it, love it, love it. Kanisha is still typing.
Oh,
Oh, there she is. All right. She got it. That's the look of victory.
oh, Kanisha, unmute so we can hear everything. We want to hear you. I said I had you all muted, so I didn't know what time it was. And then I was like, wait a minute.
That's why we were doing this. Kanisha, I think we have you slated to go first. Are you ready? Hot off the press to blow us away.
All right. Okay, so I took most of from the first card, the morality rots faster than shrouds, and no clarity without enemies. So here we go. All right. The funeral was today, and Leslie was still in her room throwing around clothes, looking for something to wear. The floor looked as if it had exploded, and a cloud of black ash was left in its wake. Each surface was littered with some inky fabric, diaphanous silks and satins, too celebratory, Leslie thought, wools and linens too hot and too cold. The weather had turned crisp, like Octobers often do, but there were still sunbeams that could fry an egg, depending on where you stood. Finally, she decided on a black cotton shift belted with a suede belt with brass hardware. She looked at herself in her vanity mirror, not wanting to see her face because of the troughs under her eyes from lack of sleep and loads of tears. Her mother would want her to look presentable, but her mother was now just a corpse with unseeing eyes that could not tell whether her dear daughter's face were full of sunshine or ravaged with grief. Her father had asked whether she wanted the limousine he had arranged to pick her up and take her to church, but she had declined. She had decided to walk instead. The town she grew up in and now worked in was small and quaint. Picturesque, the local visitors bureau proclaimed. She only lived a stone's throw from the old church that had been founded when the town itself was. Had she been alive back then, she wouldn't have been able to even step foot in the door. The walk there had been short and not unpleasant. The wind had whipped the air and autumn leaves danced around her feet. Had it not been the day she was to lay her mother to rest, she would have enjoyed the weather, perhaps stopped by Pete's for his autumn latte, spiced with cloves and nutmeg. Leslie could hear the deep bellow of the organ inside. They had already begun playing the funeral procession song. She hesitated to open the doors. If she didn't walk in, she could pretend it was all a dream. She thought of her mother and her last words, "Will you just shut up?" This was not to her, but to her father, who had already began planning her funeral as her jaundiced eyes looked around the room at the family assembled at her deathbed. Her mother would be ashamed at her lack of fortitude. "Get in there, girl," she imagined her mother's voice in her ear. "Make sure they do right by me." She gripped the door handles and pulled. A massive gust of air blew in, and she in with it, as if she had sprouted wings. The pews were full, and everyone turned to look at her. The looks on their faces ranged from disgust to outright hatred. She knew that each member of her extended family had their own reasons for their ire, but it wasn't she who they actually hated. It was her mother and the contempt she held for them. There had been no way to convince them that she didn't share her mother's feelings. Even as a child, they'd taken it out on her. She walked over to where her father sat at the front pew. His head was bowed, but there were no tears. That's all as far as I got.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah. Oh my God. Big death of Ivan Illich vibes going on here. Amazing, amazing. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Woo. Chat loves you, Kanisha.
Oh, yay!
Oh my gosh. Wow.
All those last words from Mama.
It's funny because my mom passed 4 years ago, and those weren't her last words, but when she was in the hospital, she did tell my dad to shut up.
Nice.
So that was pulled from the headlines.
It was very vividly felt and realized. So thank you so much. I know you have to go. If you want to stay as long as you can, or
Okay,
you can go now. But have a wonderful Halloween, and thank you so much for participating.
Thank you. I'm gonna stay as long as I can. I want the chat to see my eyeball shirt. Oh, I went out of view.
Kanisha made that eyeball shirt, chat. Isn't she amazing?
The back is
That is awesome.
the back is a
So
spiral, but
gorgeous.
I can't show you the back. It's because of my background.
You caught a glimpse.
He just vanished.
It's great.
You can always follow Kanisha on Facebook and see all of her art projects as she creates the most amazing clothes.
Awesome.
Do we have a volunteer to go next? I can pick.
I can go.
Yeah. All right.
Go.
Okay, I might actually have to turn the camera around for you guys to see them. Doo-doo.
Do. Oh my goodness. Zoom in, everybody.
Here we go. Okay.
Oh, here, we'll put you on a background.
Yeah.
So you guys can actually see.
Oh,
Okay. Maybe?
Oh, so
Or is my camera dirty?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can zoom that in even further. Just give me a second.
enhanced.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God.
Amazing.
Rhiannon, if you
And
also want to take a picture and send it to Carlos and me, we'll post it in the chat as well. Wow.
Here, hold on a second. I almost got it.
Yeah.
That is so
Oh,
cute.
God, why do this?
That's adorable. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Wait.
Now I got it.
Rhiannon, can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration?
Yeah, so could you mind your business? I have a husky, sorry. She does not approve of my not paying attention to her. Okay, yeah, so the no clarity without enemies is I kind of mostly focused on just the idea of clarity. So I was kind of thinking like being in the sky, but your brain's the sky. If that makes any sense. And then the other one was and yet however we stumble like progress.
Yeah.
That to me, like there's just like to me it just gave me kind of like life and death. So I thought, oh, like a flower with a little skull.
Fabulous. Oh, Rhiannon. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I had all my, and I did wear some of the ones today that I made through the month because I was like, oh, I might as well just put them on.
Oh, look how cool they are.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
Wow.
cool.
they're a super long nail, so they're definitely not practical, but you know, they're fun for what they are.
They're so awesome. So great. So great. Oh, and the Rising Tides is here. And Premisaurus. Well, hello. All
Hey.
right.
This is
Thank you.
it's amazing nail art. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
So
All right. Do we have another volunteer to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Since I'm in the future and I can relax. So I took, well, you'll see where I took the trained tongue bit and enjoys a little bitterness, and the quiet be still, do you feel it, the from. I didn't think I'd use the last one, but it sort of comes through as an extra theme. So this is called No Sin at All. Jennifer woke early enough that she was unsure whether the people of the town had stilled forever, or if her senses were too slow to recognize the movement. Around her, the buildings shuddered, and she no longer felt safe enough to return below their shivering timber and concrete. In the streets, she found no refuge at all. Those around her had not been turned to stone or rooted into the dirt below their feet. If she pushed them, they fell, and where they lay, bruises erupted like sunrises across their skin.
Ah,
Catherine had bullied Jennifer all through school, and when they grew up enough to not see each other in those sickly corridors and blood-spattered bathrooms, they continued to see each other in the small town where they both lived. Jennifer knew exactly where to find her tormentor, sitting on the bench outside the shop she now ran. The temptation to take revenge was almost too great. Her fingers wrapped around Catherine's long hair before she could stop herself. When something shifted just a little bit, just a touch. There was no satisfaction in this revenge without resistance, and not bothering to glance back, she left Catherine there on the bench, frozen, still living, unable to protest about the state she was now trapped in. Only when hunger unfurled deep in her stomach did Jennifer finally re-enter the buildings. First, a small supermarket on the edge of town. The bass note ricocheted the walls, glass dancing in the windows. Inside, all the food was gone. Anything organic was lost. Maybe the sound that she felt in her bones had trembled the produce to atoms. Maybe when it changed to a different note, she too would be reduced to nothing. Her hunger lasted 5 days before she stood in front of the first of the frozen, the first of the trapped, the first of the unmoving. When she cut them, they did not scream. They barely bled, as if anything that might indicate suffering was held inside. The fire Jennifer built was small, just enough to cook the flesh, but she felt warmed for the first time in days. She felt the meat melt on her tongue. And as she swallowed, she knew she would make it through. And the time to return and find Catherine once more had arrived, because now it would not be revenge. Now it would be survival, and that was no sin at all.
Awesome.
That was dope.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Woo!
Yeah, I'm gonna go change my diaper. I'll be right back.
You're
Sorry, I
so
should have given a content warning about cannibalism and.
Oh no.
Maybe we'll just say that now for the rest of the reading. Content warning, rated R and X, just because anything goes. Grown-up stuff, everyone. Or child stuff, depending on what you actually wrote. Mary, I think I saw you wanting to volunteer last time. Perhaps you should like to sing. Ooh, but we can't hear you.
At all?
Oh, yeah, we can now. Absolutely.
Okay. So question, can you hear this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I wanted to make sure. I've got it kind of going through Logic Pro in the hopes. Oh, that reminds me. Is it okay if I record this?
Yes. Also, I think every time that there's one of these Greg runs these things, they always bounce the next day right to YouTube. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That all gets it's going to be on Twitch archived, within, I don't know, 15 minutes of it being off, and then it'll be archived on YouTube in 24 hours. So yeah, on my YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. And y'all can hear me okay? All right, so. Tears and blood and space, your hand upon my face. Why do we try? Why do we die? My ambitions are nothing when I see you cry. Friends and foes and you keep me on the true. Am I my thoughts or the things that I've wrought? All the triumphs are nothing if your love comes to naught. Will I really care? Will I leave behind if my body's still here but I've lost my mind? Take it, darling, if it's useful to you. Once I am dead, I won't care what is true. The me that is here right now just smiles when you kiss my brow. Suns and seas and shrouds, the angels and the clouds. Throw me a rope so I can still hope for the progress we might make is the way that I cope. Will I really care what I leave behind if my body's still here but I've lost my mind? Take it, darling, if it's useful to you. Once I am dead, I won't care what is true. The me that is here right now just smiles when you kiss my brow. So, Hello.
It's good stuff.
Beautiful. I can't wait to
Wow.
make Jeremy jealous with this.
That was amazing.
When I
Thank
die,
you.
I won't care what is true. I love that. That was great.
I don't think we've had a musical one contribution yet in these. At least not one on my channel. I don't think.
This
So,
was our first, and I hope it's the first of many.
yeah, that's cool.
Yes. Well, yeah, Rhiannon. So Rhiannon's married to my brother Jeremy, who's a huge fan of Dr. Mary Kroll, which is very exciting. And I hope he gets very jealous. And also that next time maybe he and Mary will both be our musical guests and will be so fabulous.
That's
Oh
cool.
my
Oh,
God.
I would love that.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. Do you have to run now?
No, I can stick around. Nobody's rung the doorbell, so I am good.
Okay, excellent.
I'm gonna mute me though because it's
Harry, I'll also say that there were calls for encores in the chat over here. If you didn't see that,
But that's okay because chat can get their encores on your SoundCloud or they can subscribe to your Patreon. And I dropped all of those links into the chat. So chat, support your local artists. Absolutely. Well, Mary, you're muted, baby.
oh,
Oh, wait, no, you're not. You're fine.
all right. Well, we need another tribute. I mean, volunteer.
What do we got? Oh, I see Lynn smiling. I think you should be next, Lynn.
Okay, fine. Here we go. And I didn't title it. Jaden looked up at the old woman holding a basket of something. He adjusted his Spider-Man mask so he could see better. He couldn't tell if she was giving him candy or a bunch of nothing.
Huh.
Don't be shy, child. Pick up anything you like, the lady said. Okay. Jaden turned to see other kids at the end of the driveway. They'd been too scared to approach the rickety front porch. The witch of Avenue D lived here after all. At least that's what the kids called her. Mama said she was just a lonely widow, a bit odd, but harmless. Daddy called her nutty. Jaden's grandma said Miss Lulu messed with that voodoo stuff, and that's why she'd had bad luck. Then Grandma would mutter something about the good Lord protect us. Go on, child. Time's a wasting. It's Halloween, and the spirits won't wait all night. Miss Lulu grinned at him. How about I help you out? Grab that purple one. Oh, I like purple candy. I like grape. Jaden turned to a small group of kids who paused from trick-or-treating to watch, including his chief tormentor, Caldwell, who hated him. He flashed a triumphant smirk at them. He'd get to rag on them for days for being scared babies. You're so brave, Miss Lulu said, and glanced at the other children as well. Bet those little bullies won't bother you anymore. Jaden turned back to gape at her. Huh? How do you? Never mind, darling, never you mind. Look, grab 3. Grab as many as you want. Suddenly, 3 purple packs appeared. Jaden stared at them, intrigued instead of scared. Miss Lulu's warm smile pulled him in. She was on his side. Did she see him being teased and pushed, tripped and humiliated on that long walk to the school bus stop each day? Jaden felt flushed with shame. He thought no one knew his secret, that he was a coward. Even his teacher seemed unsympathetic to the obvious, relentless teasing he endured every day. Kids will be kids, he'd say. Taste. Your mama won't mind. I know she told you to wait until you got home. A little bite won't hurt. Miss Lulu's warm smile spread wide. Jaden seemed to feel it against the cool night air. He forgot about his older brother, who was probably off kissing his girlfriend, having forgotten to keep an eye on him. Miss Lulu saw him, understood him. She was offering more than a sweet treat. Jaden grabbed a handful of packets, dropped them in his bag, and then picked out the purple candy she pointed to. He peeled open the plastic. Not any candy he'd seen at the store. He popped a large gummy in his mouth. Sugar? a bit of fruit flavor, and a bite of spice. He savored it on his tongue, not chewing. You feel it, don't you, Miss Lulu Grant? Feel it. The beat of a drum filled Jaden's ears. He spoke, and his words seemed to spill out down the street. He heard a yelp. His most committed bully seemed to be in great distress. Jaden smiled. I'm gonna rule that school from now on.
A villain is born.
So I took a little bit of each of them, like the throne, makes a child of his own. So now he's gonna rule. And the bitterness of the candy mixed with the sweet, and hearing the drum, the thrum of something changing.
Oh wow! I got chill. I'm getting chills like on the backs of my armpits. Which does that make me? Oh my god!
I think we both got the same cards, and we both had bullies in our stories.
Yeah.
Interesting. I bet that was the third card. Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh yes. Well, who else was in that batch with you? Who was the third one with the thrones make children of us all? Karina, I think we just need to hear you now and see what happened.
Yeah, complete the Trinity.
It's a scrambled mess, but I'll do the best I can.
Everybody's writing.
Huh?
Everybody's writing raw, no worries.
All right. Build me a throne of salt, salvaged from a sea of tears, formed from wailing women, drawn to these crystal shores. Create a scepter from their bones, a royal cape from their ravaged hair, shoes so soft I can feel their lifelines tickling my tender souls. Map their memories, their flight from hearth and home, follow those footsteps back, tracks filled with blood, red rubies, a reminder of the beginning, the end, the lives they left behind. Gather those shimmering stones and craft me a crown, reaching out to the beyond, a dying sun, the color of flames, the haloed ash of children's screams, echoed in the, I don't know what that word is. echoed in the drums of defeat. And I will arise, awakened, a covenant assault, destroy the destroyer. Can you hear the pillar crack, the temple crumble? Hush now, be quiet, be still. No need to salt the earth and bone and ash. All empires crumble. That's what I've got.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You probably snap instead, but I want to clap really loud. Oh my gosh.
Karina, did you say I will rise again, a covenant of salt?
Yes.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Luminous magic for casting.
Can we just
Oh
get
my
Covenant
God.
of Salt as a title, like just straight up on anything?
Really?
Right?
I can't even read my own handwriting.
My new
Sorry.
band is going to be called A Covenant of Salt.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like we need to like do a whole new deck of cards that have lines from things people have said or the titles of their books, but like I will rise again, comma, a covenant of salt. Can you imagine the artwork that would come from that phrase if we gave that to Beck or something? Oh my gosh.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. All right, so we move on.
Yes, moving right along because we definitely want to get everybody in fabulously. Let's see. Who do I think looks I think that Elijah is making eye contact. But Janina's raised their hand. J9, it's your turn.
Thank you. I have been asked in the chat to say what my skull is. It is but a mask because I am death. Hence the accoutrement and the random black cat of death. This is Pinky.
Is your black cat named Pinky?
Yes. Pinkerton J. Stubbs is his full name. He was originally Inky, but Pinky stuck.
That's awesome.
Yes. So the cards that where I drew my inspiration, the one that I thought I would draw the most inspiration from is one of my favorites, which is drink a little poison every day, but I did not use that one. I did use flowers fear the storm but crave the rain, and only a fool attends a masquerade unmasked. So, it's raining, she said without inflection, as sky lit from the for a briefest of seconds. The crack of the tree splitting in half caused the rest of the party to screech and duck, but the naked girl, naked but for the wilted, oversized daisy petals ringing around her neck, just stood there, arms limp at her sides, palms facing forward in supplication, and torso rigid. Her gray eyes looked hollow as she stared forward, rain seeping into her purple hair until it appeared to be black as the tuft of hair between her legs. A man stepped forward, holding a large overcoat in front of him as if he was approaching a bull. Miss the woman shrieked, lightning splitting another tree behind her in harmony. The man, older than her by at least a decade, stepped back. Her cry faded as the empty look came back in her face. Her previous sallow complexion had deepened into a granite gray. It's raining, she said again. Everyone around her was silent. They were where they had fallen or crawled to after the lightning hit so close. A vague notion entered her mind. Why did they not go back inside? There was a wedding, her brother's wedding going on, wasn't there? She refocused her eyes and couldn't read my writing, and looked past the terrified humans. Oh, she thought, that's right. The fire crackled, still raging despite the storm. What happened, she thought, stretching her memory past this moment to before the building was burned. It was hard, so hard to remember. The wedding, yes. It was a theme wedding. The theme was masquerade. She had come as a flower girl or a girl flower, and thunder, louder than her thoughts, accompanied the next lightning strike, making her forget. It's raining, she gasped, crumbling from the blow of fire. The end.
Oh, more. Start writing again right now.
Yes, you have 39 minutes. No, just kidding. We want you to be present for the other artists, but oh my gosh, I wonder if you'll work that up into something. That would be exciting.
My gosh. Spookalicious. Perfect for Halloween. Love it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nin. Moving along. Do we have a volunteer? Ooh, Emma.
All right, so I did poetry, and to the surprise of literally no one, I chose the poison one. All right. Drink a little poison every day. Drink a little poison every day, my dear, said my stepmother. It will keep you young. She said, as she took a dainty sip from the green bottle in her pale hand. What if I don't want to stay young? I said, as I moved behind her and stuck my knee in her back to brace myself as I pulled her corset strings. She said, and then composed herself, a smile as smooth as alabaster, as she put on her green dress, more poison for her perfect skin. Don't be ridiculous, my dear, she said. Everyone wants to stay young. And she offered me the bottle, its sweet, intoxicating smell under my nose, the hint of rot underneath. No, I shook my head. Go on, she said. I shouldn't, I said. You should, she said, and her tone suggested I had no choice. I took the bottle from her, but I closed my lips as the liquid washed over them, cold and stinging. Again, she said, delighted. Drink some more. I mustn't, I said. You must, she said. You first, I said, and I could feel a grin forming behind my mouth, one that was not mine. one that I had learnt from my stepmother. She dipped her head courteously and took another sip. Now you, she said. There we were, a drink for a drink, a tournament of sorts, like two brawlers at a bar, my lips cracking and stinging as I rinsed them instead of drinking, my stepmother not noticing. When had she ever seen beyond herself? I saw her weakening, and I imagined her heart slowing in her breast, but she would not give in. One more, she said, just one more. And as she slipped to the floor, a green puddle of gorgeous fabric and limbs, her heart failing, that beautiful smile still there. And when she was dead, I whispered in her lovely ear, drink a little poison every day, my dear. It will keep you young.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That was so gorgeous.
That was
That was
gorgeous.
fantastic.
Terrifying.
Absolutely gorgeous.
I can't talk. Too
You.
busy scrolling. Now I need some poison. Who's next? Who's next? Raise a hand. Raise a hand. I want to see. Oh, yes. Yes. Sean. Woohoo.
Hello. Okay. So I basically stuck with the live long enough for better stars. So I'll read what I wrote. There is a statue in the center of Tippled Leaf Square. It sits on a marble pedestal streaked with mud and compost. The story goes that the founder of the town saw a woman most lovely and strove to capture her in graphite. The woman stands next to a pillar, hand outstretched as if reaching to pluck out the stars. Every October, the townsfolk gather around the statue, drape it in woven oak leaves bright as blood. There are dances and horse races and apple cider drinking. The seasons turn and turn again, and the statue watches it all. There is a statue in the middle of a barren field. There once was a village here full of healthy people. The story goes that a man fell in love with a maiden from afar and came from his own village to visit her. Less than an hour after his arrival, people fell sick. Doctors declared a pandemic. Only one woman was spared the sickness. She tried her best to care for everyone, but the dead soon stacked up, including her beloved who brought the unknown disease. All alone, she raised her arms and cried for mercy. They said that she wept bitter tears until she became encased in salt. There is a statue in the Tip Leaf Square, a tiny park overshadowed by the city's towering skyscrapers. It's of a woman next to a pillar, her hand outstretched as if attempting to reach the top of the buildings to pull herself up into the sky. The park, which was named by an unknown artist, used to be a grove that marked an old ancient village. Some ancient tragedy had erased it from history. Pigeons now make their nests in the crook of her arm. Graffiti spills across the cracked surface of her pedestal. Many have speculated there was once diamond tears in the statue's eyes that had long since been chipped away. There is a statue lying amidst a vast, desolate landscape. The pedestal which it once stood on has long since cracked to dust, pitching the statue onto its back. Its face has long eroded. It stretches one stump of an arm up, the other arm long since broken off. It stretches towards the stars. The stars above it, in a sky older than the earth, began to streak. First one, then many, until the sky became filled with brilliant streaks of light. Their shadows illuminated the face of the statue, a woman gazing blindly up. Her forehead cracks and crumbles, revealing warm flesh.
Oh.
She sits up, the statue woman, graphite sliding off her form. She reaches up with one good arm, catching a falling star in her outstretched hand, and smiles.
Amazing.
That was awesome.
That was phenomenal, LaShawn.
Encased in salt. It just.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that all the other statues are also waking up at the same time this last one is?
Maybe. I never got that far, but
I just want them to. I want them all these like weird statue people to be like, "Hello, we're here now." What? I love it. Oh, I love statue people. They're like a thing of mine. I love it.
He really does. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Who would like to read next?
I will go.
Yes, Kyle.
Okay, here we go. Mistakes were made. That's the name of my album. That's what I would call it if I had made one, I mean. The mysterious wizard in the cloak with the smoker's cough asked me to think of a name for my great opus. He said I would have plenty of time, and he's right. And I think my great opus would be an album. I would make music. I've never done it before, but I'm sure I'd be very good at it. I think it would be like an aggressive breakbeat disco mumblecore fantasia of some kind. Where I'm going. I know people don't make albums anymore. It's all streaming now, but to make something vibrant, I think that's what I would have done. Maybe I'm tired for being known for the impressive being I am. I want to reinvent myself. That's normal. It's probably normal. It's probably normal with my fate. Being betrayed for one's hoard. It's not something I recommend. Shakes your faith. Mistakes were made. That or get angry. 12 lessons for a free life. But nothing in life is free except your life. Did you know that? I knew that. The first breath you take, that's the one thing you're granted for free. Nothing else. It really makes you stop and ponder, being imprisoned in an obsidian castle from which there's no escape. Tricky spot. I hope my story is vivid. It won't be my story any longer, of course, once I use up all the air in here. There are no air holes. In the lava castle, they didn't put them in. The things that remain after me aren't me. They are for you. What an utter crock of shit. Can you believe that extremely tall wizard with the smoker's cough told me that? That's what he said to me. The things that remain after you aren't for you, great beast. They are for those who remain. It's not even good. It's bad writing. Terrible dialogue. Did you know I once dreamed up a void that eats light and matter and time? It's true. It's this thing where if you approach it, you'll get pulled to pieces and you'll dissolve into nothing. But right before you pull apart, not many people know this because when you get pulled apart, you die. Right before you get pulled apart, you will briefly witness the excruciating truth of all time. Seriously, that's what I dreamt. Black holes, they were my dream first. No one else, they were mine. I have a very dramatic mind. Maybe my opus won't be an album. Maybe it would be a novel. I think I'm good with words. Not a great American novel, but something sardonic. Maybe like the right people would talk about it. You know how that is? Not everyone would talk about it, but the right people would. I have been working on something. Writing something. Oh, yes, definitely. I have parchment and I have quills. I like the old ways. That's why I stick to the quills. I don't have much more to do in here in this once volcanic prison of mine. It's difficult. I have to make ink from my own innards. But luckily, great beings like me have lots of entrails. Maybe you didn't know that about us. Honestly, I could go on using my entrails for ink, and I would die of asphyxiation first. The wizard didn't put any air holes in this glass pillar. It's like a giant black phallus in the landscape. Who builds that? Why? I have questions. They'll never be answered. Do you think I could murder that blue-cloaked annoying wizard with my quills? I need him to come back. He said he wouldn't. He's got what I call an edible face. It's sort of a time-bending adventure that I'm writing with my blood here, my entrails. I hope it doesn't remind you of some other sci-fi fantasy that already exists. That's always everyone's fear when they write, right? I don't know. Not that a copyright lawyer could reach me here. I think I'd be safe. Actually, maybe they would find a way to bore in here and save me. I'm told they're very determined, copyright lawyers. But I don't know. I have people who used to deal with those things for me before here, the tower and all. So here's my big idea. What I guess I will leave behind for that very tall wizard to read. I was just side note, he's also a very handsome tall wizard. There really is something about tall people. They claim there's not, but there is. So I'm going to read it. Some of my guts to your ears, just a little bit. You can tell me if you think it's good. The orphans of St. Mallory's home went to say goodbye to the world together. They took their blankets and brewed several thermoses of tea. One of the sisters taught them how to brew it back before they abandoned the orphans, when people still lived in the city. The dark of night clung to the sky, no more lights in the city. The orphans knew an ending when they saw one. Days ago, 2 of them had snuck up here to watch the sunrise, and they watched as the city kissed itself goodbye. The last sunrise, they said it would be. Families, couples, and individuals took to the rooftops by instinct. An animal sense awakened in them. With no more sun, what was the point? Some parents clung to their children and leaped. Others told their youngest to jump first, saying it was all a game or a dream, and they would wake up once they hit the ground. Some screamed as they took their lives. The scariest ones were silent, falling wordlessly onto the streets. Was it thundering? They thought they could hear thunder. Was it crashing? Would the end come like whispers or like waves? The orphans fell still when it arrived, and it was nothing. An absence. It wasn't shadow or dark. It wasn't monster. It didn't have claws. It didn't burn or scald. But there it was. Something crawling across the horizon toward them. The end of the Juniverse. That's how I thought it would look, said one of the children. That's it. I think it is derivative. I'm not sure. I'll never know. Did you know the stars used to be better? They did. They're worse now. I think there's less fire in the sky. I'm going to be quiet. Goodbye, air. The end.
Wow.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
That voice is dynamite.
Brilliant story within a story.
Voice is dynamite. Dynamite, dynamite, dynamite.
Thank
What
you.
a great voice.
I was taken on a journey.
Woof.
You heard it here first. That was chapter 1 of Air Holes
Oh,
by
no.
Cracky, releasing 2025. You have 1 year.
No joke. No joke.
And now I've
Wow.
got to try and work edible face into a conversation.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Great.
Loved it. Okay, we are
Yeah.
moving right along with hit after hit. Who is next?
Yeah, we have Eden and we have Elijah. And is that it? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Woo! Eden or Elijah? Who's gonna go?
Elijah.
Okay. I've been having some internet troubles. Am I good? Can you all hear me? Hope
So far?
I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I took Guts' Makes the Finest Music. Do want to say though, I'm kind of in awe of every single person who's gone. It's kind of shocking. Maybe not shocking, but it is. I'm in awe. But this is titled You. You stand there. You don't know how long you've been here. It worries you a little bit. The first inkling of doubt you've had in a long while, or perhaps it's a short while, and you've just now recently regained consciousness. Like that time you got drunk at that party and blacked out and threw up in the bushes and were arrested. But you aren't drunk, or at least you don't feel drunk. You could be high, but that doesn't seem right either. You can't really remember anything outside of this small space. Your hand is halfway extended to the stall door. Yes, of course, that's where you are. A restroom. And judging by the things written on the wall, which range from juvenile to obscene, it's a high school restroom. You open the door, and there is a mirror. That mirror faces another mirror, and there is 1,000 yous standing there, each more grotesquely unsure and green than the last. Even the one closest to you doesn't really look like you. It's not even doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's dancing. This bathroom is all kinds of fucked, you think. You should leave, but you don't. Instead, you walk closer. That you has its guts wrapped around its arms, and it's raising them high above its head in some arcane and obscene ritual. You look down, making sure that your guts are where they should be, namely, not outside your body. Thank God, you whisper. The you in the mirror looks at you. A strange, knowing smile spreads across their face. And that's all I had done. So.
Oh my gosh, no! Why did it end so soon?
What a cliffhanger.
Truly.
The you in the mirror looks at you. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like a finger.
I know.
That's
But that's great. It's great. It has. I'm sorry, I'm still drooling. I mean, like, I do actually have saliva reactions to people's prose and poetry. And so it's been like constant, like extra water in my mouth this whole reading. Too much information, probably. But anyway, I mean, it's happy. It's like, well, yummy, you know?
Oh, no, it's so great. Reader, I married her.
Yeah. Well, we won't get into that. Anyway, we do have one amazing, awesome writer left, and that is Eden Royce, who will take us out of the evening.
I just want to say I did not intend to read last. I completely intended to jump in before now, but that's okay. Here we go. I kind of combined two cards, the storm and rain and the poison. So here we are, untitled. It always took longer for her skin to grow back when it rained. Jalissa fretted because he would be here soon. And it was bad form to be partially fleshed at one's own dinner party. Not her fault this time, but it wouldn't matter to Mother, would it? It never did. Never mattered that she, as the eldest daughter, tried her hardest to be right, on that path of perfection that the family expected. We've hain't sugar and witches and all kind of things. Why can't you just figure it out? Then Mama would sigh, and her baby sister would giggle, and Daddy would give her that look, and Jalissa would just want to die again. But no such luck. Today was her turn to host the dinner party. Oh, she'd done them before, but this one was special. She winced as wet pink muscle formed around her collarbone. Jalissa would be 30 in another 8 months, and she hadn't yet bewitched anyone. Yes, sometimes bewitchings were subconscious things, webs of thrall extending from casually spoken words, woven from spidery caresses under waxing moonlight. But other times, bewitching was purposeful, an intentional act as precise as a sniper's bullet, and at times just as deadly. Only this time, the intent was not death. If only. Tonight, it was to beguile someone, and she would rather die again. But in order to open her own practice, she had to get her license, and after a decade of study, bewitching, beguiling behavior eluded her. Poisoning? She could do that all day long. Exorcism? Piece of cake with cream on top. Healing? Balms, unguents, words to soothe your body and mind? Yes, and more yes. But Jalissa was uncomfortable with seduction of any kind. Her mother had sat her down one afternoon at the dinner table to have the talk. She'd been 15 and shocked and horrified at every word her mama said. That night, it was It was branded into the lumpy, soft tissue of her brain. Rain poured outside. The summer afternoon darkened to twilight by the storm. The dinner table was set for two, even though it was only 2 in the afternoon and Daddy and her sister were home. In order to be sexy, Mama, no, I am not doing this. Her face burned until she thought she would turn to ash. Mama was unfazed. Of course we're doing this, sugar. How else are you going to learn? I don't want to learn. This is nuts. She couldn't look at her mother right now. Still, Jaleesa felt her chin lift of its own accord, and in a breath, all of her attention was on her mother. Witch, warlock, and practitioner extraordinaire. Mama smirked. Her power to thrall was enviable, and she wielded it so easily it made Jaleesa ill. Now that I have your attention, watch and learn. She picked up the butter knife and held the rounded blade to her lips, then flicked her tongue over it. Jaleesa died on the spot. Pain arced through her flesh as newly formed muscle and fascia knit together over her collar and deltoid, pulling Jaleesa out of her reverie. Footsteps thudded up the stairs into her room. Then the door swung open, banging against the wall behind it. Your date's here. And that's it.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! It's been such a Halloweeny. Sorry, saliva. Like a Halloween, delicious, nutritious episode, and pink muscle on the collarbone. Ah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that muscle growth on the collarbone was something. Ugh.
Oh
So,
my god!
before everyone leaves, I do have a little bit of a surprise here. First of all, I want to apologize to Elijah and Eden because 2 lovely people subscribed while you were doing it. So my Final Fantasy VII alert music went off in the middle of. So I apologize for both those happening. It was just celebrating how great those pieces were. Secondly, I have just gotten just before he boards his plane to head back to Trinidad a piece from Brandon O'Brien. Based on one of the prompts. So there is one more person to read. He said that he wants me to read it if we have time, and we do. So I wanted to throw that out there if people would like me to do that. It's
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
super long.
please.
Okay, this is the Rising Tides in Chat. Brandon O'Brien, amazing poet and game designer and role player and Speculate co-host and all around good person. Okay,
Literally one of my favorite living poets in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
that's
Literally.
right. And his latest one that was in I think Strange Horizons. I can't remember whether
I'll
Strange
post
Horizons.
it. I'll post it in the chat right now.
It's so good. Anyway, so this poem is called Proof of God, and I'm reading it for the second time. I read it quickly while we were going through. The biologists were wrong. The plants are not screaming, or rather the plants are screaming, but never in the negative ecstasy of fear. Imagine, if you will, the Garden of Eden. Now ask yourself, if God made everything in the flash of a bumbling, brutal 144-hour work week, then where did the boss make our wills? Then imagine, if you will, the Garden of Eden. Now ask yourself, in the realm where every glint of weather is both perfect and joyful, no chills to claim your fruits and no storms to drown them, would Adam's own thumb need to be green? Then imagine, if you will, the Garden of Eden. Now, ask yourself, in the blessed realm before weapons, when thorns and thick trunks didn't need to meet a sickle or a shear, what prunes the wayward limb when 2 bodies clash? Then imagine, if you will, the Garden of frickin' Eden, running wild in the glare of heaven, pouring green in every direction like a rogue wave crashing over dirt. Kneel down. The choir of the host was always here. A dozen thousand angels singing a dozen thousand alleluias, only as high as heaven, because every minor lyric is none of our business. And they are saying all the things we would need to know to make it 1 month more before the mess tarnishes every green gold left. But because it is none of our business, We have gotten very good at not hearing it. Remember when the boss man said the first groundskeeper had dominion? Well, can you keep a room your own when you're lighting the carpet on fire? Now, imagine the Garden of Eden. Imagine the song those first two lovebirds heard, and why they'd give that up for a granny apple or some not yet ripe starch mango, when they could be listening to the Rockettes of Ages in residence every night for free. But then again, if we find ourselves annoying when our only songs are woe, or why, or would anyone help me, can you imagine hearing tons of tiny tones of something greater than you forever? I sadly must admit, even I'd put anything in my mouth if the squish could silence everything else, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's damn good. And I should have said before that that's using the prompts of there cannot be a soul, there must be a soul, trees eat meat, and language walks you on its leash. It's good stuff. He's a very good poet.
Brian's language can walk me on its leash anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon.
Walk me, Brandon.
I think Brandon's already on the flight back, but thank you, Brandon. That was dynamite. Everybody was dynamite, like really, like super good. Yeah.
So incredible. Thank you, chat. Let's get a huge round of applause for all of our amazing readers. Thank you, readers. And thank you, performers and artists. You all were just amazing. 25 minutes.
I know, but I know that Elijah said he was in awe of everybody, but like Elijah, that's what happens. I am constantly in awe all the time, every single time. It never fails.
Oh, and Brandon was still here. Okay, yay. So you were able to hear it. Rising Tides, that was dynamite, man. As always, great stuff.
I dropped a link to Brandon's poetry collection, Can You Sign My Tentacle, in the chat. If you all don't know it and haven't read it, you must. That's all.
And so the common denominator among all these writers and all of these performers and all of these artists, the Deck of Destiny. So one more time with feeling, we'll go ahead and put the Negocios link up there. We've got 9.5 days left, couple more, well, I guess one more stretch goal to make that we would love to see reached. And
we could get over 17,000 in the next 2 minutes before we close, can't we? Like, come on, 17,000. Look, it's within $12. Before we get there. I want that neoprene map, by the way, at 20,000. That's what I'm pulling for. I've already backed this thing. So
in fact, the mat is going to feature the map, but also some information, and we're still finalizing all the cool stuff that we can put on it. But mostly what I wanted to say is that this is what we did it for artists to wow us with their incredible talent. And, we just give them this tiny little prompt, and from it, universes emerge. So thank you so much, singers and performers, nail artists, writers, and poets. Thank you so much for everything. Had a great time. And everyone else, I hope you have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween.
If you work these up into anything that you want, that you send out and submit, or do anything with, let us know. Like, find us and let us know, and we will share it all on social media. We will make everybody aware of your glory.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, writers, musicians, artists of all types. Thank you. This was, as always, amazing. Also, again, can I get a shout out in chat as well for Carlos and Claire for this amazing game from which these prompts come, and for setting this all up. Amazing stuff as always, and
for Rebecca Houston, the artist, yay!
And yes, and Rebecca Houston, the artist. This was great stuff.
Becky just got a shout out. Sorry.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, really, really awesome stuff. And you're now part of a very honored group of people. The group of people who have been invited to be in one of these salons, either on my channel or in the many salons that Carlos and Claire have conducted. And they're always awesome, from everything I can tell. At least on my channel, they're always awesome. I assume they're awesome everywhere else. So thank you, everybody. This is great stuff. And chat, remember that I'm going to go out trick-or-treating with my kids right now. Literally, my daughter came behind me. She's like, I need to go get the candy. But tonight I will be back on the channel with our annual Edgar Allan Poe reading late tonight. I'm guessing between 10 and 11, but we'll see. But follow Twitter and Blue Sky and all that good stuff, and we'll see you back here. Thank you so much, creatives. Thank you to Carlos and Claire. And chat, we will see you down the line. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Halloween.
And Claire, thank you so much for getting all those links on there. That was so amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
My pleasure, my honor.
Thank you to